Syngenta Crop Protection Canada and C&M Seeds present the Wheat School on RealAgriculture.com.
Okay, Peter, in Ontario we got a bit of a later soybean crop than would be ideal. How much pressure is that going to put on winter wheat seeding? Like, how late can we get?
Yeah, so absolutely. The problem with wheat in Ontario is that we plant it after the soybean crop. And so many growers don't want to give up any soybean yield, so they're always pushing for long season soybeans. And this year, we're doubly behind the 8 ball because we planted late. So there's a whole bunch of June 8th and June 15th. And even, believe it or not, there's a few June 34th, 35th soybeans out there as well. So it's a late crop. Does that put pressure on wheat? 100% yes. And it's too bad because the earlier we plant wheat, the bigger the wheat yield potential. There's a 1-to-1 relationship there, give or take. I mean, weather always plays a factor, but on average, early planted wheat yields lots. How late can we push it? Well, you know, it's one of the beauties of winter wheat in the province is most locations we can push it very, very late. And if Mother Nature smiles on us, we still get an excellent wheat crop. So I have an example of a producer a few years ago, who actually planted wheat on December the 12th. And he got 111 bushels per acre. Unstinking believable. Now mind you, right beside that, he planted wheat on September the 20th, so 3 months earlier, and guess what he got for a wheat yield? 141 bushels per acre. So it's very, very good ground, and there was chicken manure there, like lots of good things that really drove that wheat. But I'm not afraid to plant wheat late. What's more important than the date is the soil conditions. And so if it's the 28th of October, and remember that the crop insurance deadline, it varies across the province, so there's some areas where it's earlier, but from the bulk of the province, it's October 31st. If you don't have the wheat planted on October 31st, you can't get winter kill insurance at the very least. Well, that really bothers me because if it's mud on October the 30th, and I go out there and I push it to get the wheat in the ground because I want it insured, and I plant in mud, I've set myself up for a poor wheat crop. Because it's pretty rare you plant any crop in mud and get a good wheat crop, or a good crop of any nature. If it happens to stop raining on the 30th of October, and now it's the 5th of November, and the soil is dried out, and we get 2 or 3 days of dry weather till the 8th of November, you can plant wheat in that window and still have very good wheat. Now, will it be 140 bushel wheat the way we'd like it to be? No, you definitely give up some yield potential. But there's lots of examples of 90 or 100 bushel wheat, or certainly 80 plus bushel wheat planted late. There's a few management things you have to look at. You have to up the seeding rate. It's an insurance policy, but once you get past the 20th of October, we're talking 1.8 to 2.1 million seeds per acre. That's getting around 30 seeds per foot of row or higher. So it's a high seeding rate, but we're trying to make sure that we get that stand to go through. And and
the reason you do that is because seed mortality is going up, right?
Yeah, so absolutely. The reason you do that is seed mortality is going up, but not only that, because seed mortality may be okay if we get that good soil conditions, but what you've lost is any capability to tiller in the fall. So when we plant at that 23 seeds per foot a row, we'd like the main head and 1 tiller per plant. If we had 20 seeds per foot and we could get a main head and 1 tiller per plant, we'd have 40 heads per foot and life would be good. When I plant in November, well, it's going to tiller in the spring, and spring tillers just don't bring as much to the table as fall tillers. So we up the seeding rate because of plant mortality and also because of reduced tillering. So we're trying to increase our yields with less tillers by adding that extra seed. So we want to do that. You want to make sure that you get the seed that at least that inch deep. And the reason for that is that the wheat plant will be less cold tolerant. Wheat achieves its maximum cold tolerance with 4 to 5 leaves and 1 to 2 tillers. Well, 1 or 2 leaves, or no leaves whatsoever, it really puts that wheat seed with less cold tolerance. We get a January thaw. If you've only planted that wheat a 1/4 inch deep, well, you get a cold night, it goes down to -15, you've really damaged that seed. Whereas if you plant that inch 1.25 deep like you'd normally want to. Now I have that soil to act as an insulator, so even without snow, I get some insulation from the cold air temperatures. So seeding depth, you want to maintain that. A lot of guys think you should plant shallower. I would almost argue, no, definitely don't. If anything, you deepen it 1/4 inch, which is kind of counterintuitive, but I think that actually works, and keep your populations up.